So, good afternoon, Kees. Very great to
Hi,
have you on
Colin.
board. How are you?
Good, doing fine. Friday
Yeah.
afternoon, so
Yes, that's perfect timing, huh?
perfect timing.
Yes. All right, then let's talk about our two topics. And yeah, I guess we have two interesting topics, of course. And these topics, yeah, they were touching me now for many weeks or a month even, I would say. And the first one I wanted to talk with you about was the topic of the new social media platform, BeReal. So this is something like the hype platform at the moment. And I just learned that they have like 10 million users every day, active users. This is very
Well,
important for all the social media platforms to get exactly these figures. And I was just curious, what do you think about BeReal? Do you have any opinion already about this platform?
yeah, a small opinion. I'm not a user of it, but I'm also not a user of TikTok, so I'm late.
Yeah, me
But
neither. So,
of course, okay. But no, of course I heard about it. Of course I checked into it and understand at least the basics. I asked my 16-year-old son last evening, like, "Hey, are you on BeReal?" And he was. No, and I think what's quite interesting actually of it is that I don't know all the details about it, of course, but it really seems to be a counter reaction to, let's say, the other social media, and that makes it, of course, from my perspective or transactive perspective, very interesting. It feels like a counter reaction towards this whole perfectly curated lives of people. So where you have the more the millennial generation posting on Instagram, etc., and yeah, curating everything. This feels really like this counter reaction from Gen Z, and that's from a sociological perspective or generational perspective, of course, very interesting and on trend, so to speak.
That's interesting, the word of a counter reaction. I think this was also my impression. But the question about this counter reaction is also, of course, how sustainable will it be? So is it only a hype, or is it only a counter reaction that it's maybe a short fire somewhere and something that will be ending in some month again, because then we will have, or we want to have, this perfect life and the perfect image, yeah, images that we post on Instagram again? Or do you think it's something where maybe a real counter reaction or a new trend can evolve actually?
Well, the trend behind it, so this let's say value of Gen Z looking for more authentic ways to live life and express themselves won't go away. That will stay 100%. So that's definitely, because that's a big need already that's manifested in many different forms. So I think Be Real is just one of those manifestation of a deeper need. The question you ask, okay, will BeReal, will it stay, or that's the question. I don't know. I don't have a glass ball. It does address a certain need currently, which is this need of this generation to focus more on authenticity in this super filtered life, so to speak. But the it all depends on how they will go on. It depends on, will they come with new features. Already now, some of the aspects of Be Real are copied by TikTok already, and so it depends on various things.
Yeah.
And we must not forget, with things, yeah, start as a hype, it's also something new. And what happens with new thing, you have the social component, especially for this young generation which is on it. You know, they're in their formative years, they're shaping their identity. So, oh, have you seen the new thing? That's also a bit how it works. So now it's interesting, but maybe in 2 months it will be not so interesting as we have seen before with all these other social media platforms. So most probably it will be integrated into.
Yeah.
And I asked my son, by the way, I asked
Mhm.
my son, my 16-year-old son yesterday, because I knew that we were going to have a chat today about this. And I asked him, actually, because he's a user. And he said, no, it will go away. It's just now for the fun, and you try it. And then he said, like, yeah, it's another hour of spending on social media, additional to all the others. And he said, it's too much. So it will be bought by another in a month or so.
Yeah, from a branding perspective, I'm totally with you and your son as well, because yeah, you could see this with Clubhouse, you could see this with TikTok being copied by YouTube, and of course by Instagram with Reels. So I think this is more or less the logic way. It will be very interesting for BeReal how they will cope with this competition or with this facts at the end. So will they have new features that will dilute their brand or their promise somehow? Or will they say, no, we really stick to all our limits that we have at the moment? And this will be a very interesting point. But yeah, as you said, I think there are some logic ways and some clear ways that we could already observe in the past. But yeah, interesting about your answer was that you said the trend of authenticity is not going away 100%. So this is a very, very cool, cool opinion, or a clear opinion. Maybe just to end our discussion about BeReal, the first question would be, what is actually or do you have any idea what a hype means for the people? So from a social cultural perspective and also from a psychological perspective, what is like the interesting part about a hype? Why is a hype actually? I was just thinking about this. What is it? What is it doing with us as a human being?
Yeah, hype. I don't know exactly what it is. I know it's described as a hype or a fad or a rage or as a short-term topic that pops up. It's most of the time, or it's almost always on product level. So it's always short-term, and I guess it's more of a social component, like, hey, somebody's using it, oh, let's try it out again, and it's a sort of word of mouth
Yeah.
that goes on, and then it's hyped up, and then it's gone.
All right. So
But perhaps a hype could also be extend into more a trend, and then you have all these definitions of trends. So maybe this could be a hype, this BeReal, but maybe the other social media platforms will start to think about, hey, what's behind this? And if they find out what's behind it, they can most probably craft new ideas out of that to be more meaningful to these generations, because the message behind it is, hey, Gen Z is looking for this more authentic image of themselves. And I think that should be the story. That should be the story behind it. That's the lesson to be learned, which is a lesson relevant for all brands, I would say.
Yeah, very interesting. Maybe last question about BeReal, because you already said it. It's a counter reaction, and it's a tendency to more authenticity there and out there. Can you describe it even a little bit more or in a deeper way, where you say, okay, where does this counter reaction come from? Is it only that, is it a logic reaction? There is something and there will be a counter reaction. This is something that many of us hear many times. So there's a trend and there's a trend against it. But is there also, again, from a evolutionary way or from a social cultural way or psychological way, is there anything that again in us or in the with the Gen Z, where they're saying, okay, there is a natural instinct to see or feel or whatever, observe authenticity, where you can also somehow explain this trend or counter?
Yeah, this is definitely something that has to do with the formative years and the way they're raised. So they're raised as mobile natives, which means they were always in this social media environment, for example. And in all those years they've grown up, they have seen this picture perfect images. So it was always about, okay, you have to look greatest with the best clothing, with the best friends, and this is now partially counter-reacting because first of all, these kids currently have trouble to keep it up, to keeping up. Like keeping up, they have in this age group, they have to do so much and think about so many things at the same time. So I think that's one of the reasons. And the other reason is this mental pressure. So they have this societal pressure. They have mental, increasingly mental issues. And what's also very important is that they're like the most pluralistic generation, which means they, thanks to, for example, also living in a globalized world, they've grown up with much more diversity around them. So much more, ethnicity, gender issues, etc. For them, how do you say it? The world is more diverse, and being not perfect is therefore something that's for this generation quite common to see. They understand, like, okay, well, not everybody can be perfect all the time. So those are, let's say, the deeper socio-cultural layers beneath this manifestation of embracing authenticity as a concept.
Great. Thank you, Kees, for this first explanation and also your opinion and your observations.